So, here we go. This is Joni Franzel with Light on Us. Today I have a very special guest. His name, Will Keller. He's from the One Great Work Network. He's a spiritual anarchist. He's a father. And he's doing a lot of great stuff. And he's doing the great work. Welcome. Hi, Will.
How's it going, Jonathan? Thanks for having me on. It's an honor. Thanks.
Yeah. Cheers. Yeah, I really want to talk to you because I want to speak about the great work because you're doing so much amazing stuff. And yeah, how was
Excellent.
your path to this? How was your path to this kind of work? How did you start?
Yeah, no, great question. So pretty much I come from I've had a great childhood and great family and very close knit, and we've always been truth seekers. I grew up on a ranch, so I've always been close with nature. But really, the catalyst of my quote unquote awakening happened when I was just becoming a father. But coming out of the music industry of touring around the world and, being in the hip hop scene and, all the cliche partying and all that kind of stuff, it actually took me into drug addiction, which was a dark time in my life. But what it did was it forced me, especially just becoming a father, it forced me to really look at myself and evaluate my own psyche. How did I get into this mess? Right? So I had to dissect my own internal ecology and, how do I operate, the beliefs that I hold. And this really set me on a path of self-discovery and truth discovery. So, conquering drug addiction, that was my catalyst. And then I just kept going and applying a lot of the knowledge and wisdom that I was learning from mystery traditions and occultism and applying it in the external world, like what is going on in reality, right? What is going on in the world? And that led me to, some really great advocates like Mark Passio, Michael Tessarion, Jordan Maxwell, David Icke, and then just applying that information and understanding, once you get to a certain level, you can gather all the grammar you want. But when you understand the moral implications, you have that obligation to speak out. I mean, I'm sure you understand this. You're doing great work as well.
At some point, you're so full. I talked with Sean McCann also from the One Great
Excellent.
Work Network, and he said the same thing. And I think it's a lot of people experience this kind of stuff that you at some point it's okay. I have to do it. There's no other way.
Yeah, I would say it was about 2 solid years that I could have been going public with this information, but I just had the lack of willpower. And then finally it just built up and I said, all right, I got to get off my ass. I got to do something. I come from a music background, so I'm somewhat familiar with the tech. I needed to increase that knowledge in the modern world, modern technology. So, of course, taking Mark Passio's How to Become the True Media course really gave me the foundation to, make content and to project the message of truth and freedom more efficiently. And, but, I mean, the moral obligation builds up and you have to do something. And that's the thing. If we want change, if we say we want change in the world, then we have to act. And it's not like these other people are going to do it for us. There's another group of people that are going to do it for us. It's on an individual basis. There's no such thing as the collective, right? We say the collective or the aggregate as a descriptive word, but the aggregate is comprised of the individuals. So it all depends on what each person is doing within their life to create change.
Yeah. And it's also, if you tap into this kind of work, you also get more energy. That's my experience. And a lot of people get more energy. They have more energy. They're more driven. They have more. They will get to the point where they have the willpower for change. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've experienced that. When you tap into the forces of justice in the universe, and you align your actions, your thoughts, emotions, and actions, and you are on your path, then yes, things will line up. You will feel that that amplification of energy, and you increase your knowledge, then you will get more proficient on technology and things will go smoother. This is just how the way of the world is. When you are off your path and living an immoral life, then the obstacles will arise and you will see this.
Yes.
You will struggle throughout life. And that's an indicator like, hey, I'm not on my path. I'm doing something wrong. So we can see this in our individual lives, but also in the world at large, right? We see that humanity, the species on this planet, is in opposition to the rhythm of life, which is nature, natural law. And the consequence of that is human suffering and control. And of course, there are people taking advantage of that.
Yeah. Big time.
Yeah.
And people also need to understand this, yeah. A lot of people understand about the natural law and stuff. They understand this, but they never get to the point where they understand the dark occult and how we are manipulated and lied to and get into mind control. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, 100%, and that's a huge category. Even in the freedom movement, truth movement, you know, a lot of people understand natural rights. They understand that government is an immoral, violent system of control that's illegitimate, but they don't understand the inner workings of reality. This is occultism. How our own psychology works, how the natural law principles, how does reality manifest? We are co-creators, so we need to understand the inner workings in detail. And, you know, when people hear the word occultism, right, which just simply means hidden knowledge, the body of knowledge of the two most important categories that we can come across, right? How we operate as human beings and how does nature operate, and how they correspond. But a lot of people kind of revert to Renaissance or classical occultism and the mystery traditions, and this is valuable information, but we don't want to get stuck there. We need to understand that we need to internalize this information, but then apply it in a modern way. Like how can we make this applicable now, in the here and now? And this is what people have a hard time with. I have a lot of conversations with, you know, just regular people, and we're talking about rights, and they understand this. They understand karma. They understand cause and effect. And a lot of people will agree with me. But yet, when you apply it to the world externally, then their programming and conditioning really comes out. And, you know, I call it the Agent Smith effect, right? From the allegory, The Matrix. They turn into Agent Smith and they start defending the system. Oh, well, we need government. We need a control system because humans can't do it on their own. It's like, you know, so you see all these fallacies and the folly just really come out. And this is where, you know, the internal, quote unquote, shadow work really comes into play. And, you know, doing the one great work is a priority for many people. It needs to be. But yet the great work, the internal great work of self-discovery, and it comes first. It has to be the first process. We need to distill and eliminate all these false beliefs and this programming and conditioning, which we all have had and have still, right? This is like a lifelong process that we're working through this stuff. But, you know, being raised in this day and age, absolutely, we have these programs that play out.
Yeah. People are very bound to the system. I also make this experience a lot. Yeah. They're really like, I am the system. It's like they say, I'm the system. They're not like, there is a system of control. They say, I am the system of control. And then they have a lot of issues with the ego. And it's also good that you talked about make the difference between the one great work and the great work within. Yeah, that's a big point, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, what is the one great work? Well, after you do the internal work to a certain degree, meaning you get to a certain level, which is, you know, for me, I discussed it earlier, right? I was in this dark place and then climbing my way out of this hole, but analyzing myself, you know, how do I work? How does my psychology operate? My beliefs, my conditioning, analyzing this in detail. And I'm, writing it down on a pen and pad. I'm a firm believer of that. Journaling, this is empowering stuff, techniques.
Yeah.
But once we do that work to a certain degree, then we can come out and do the one great work. Now, there's two ways to create change in reality: philosophy and technology. Well, philosophy is the internal dialect that we can have with ourselves, which is the great work, right? The shadow work, asking ourselves these deep, big questions, either about ourselves and about the world in large. But then the second is technology, and this is the external influence. In the modern world, we are, we're technological advance on some level. And we can direct another conversation on, ancient cultures and civilizations, which I do think they were far more advanced in many levels, in more of, natural philosophy and natural technology as well. But we have these incredible platforms to get a message out. When I started going public, I used to go out on the streets with my partner John of Natural Freedom League and a small group of people, and we would hold signs, and we were trying to engage with the public and kind of, and spark these conversations. And although that was extremely valuable, we're only communicating with, a handful of people. We would go to, pretty populated areas. So, maybe 100 people in a day we would interact with. But yet, you and I can hop on a platform like this, and then we can share this interview out and reach, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people potentially, right? And that can create a ripple effect. So we have to understand the modern tech and what is going on. And as we're in the transition of the whole AI agenda, this is scary for a lot of people. But yet, I would prefer more natural modalities. But yet we have this technology. We need to understand what it is, what it's being used for by the controllers and the social engineers, and how can we use this to our benefit. So this is all types of technology. Technology is just a tool. It's neutral, yet it depends on the wielder of the technology. Who is using it? How are they using it? And that's the key. So I use a lot of AI programs as well to promote, shorts, YouTube and Facebook shorts, and do captions and all this kind of stuff. This is time management, and this can help, hone in and create more efficient content. Because ultimately, what is the content? We're talking about truth and morality, how to become a better human being. How can we stop the violence and the coercion and the duress in the world and what's going on? This is a powerful, important topic. I'm not making cat videos or anything like that. So, and I've gotten this before. So, some woman was like, "Oh, you're a podcaster, you're a content creator, a dime a dozen," and I'm like, "Well, yeah, I guess, yeah, I'm a podcaster, I'm a content creator, but yet, what is the message? What's the content?" That's what is important. So we definitely need to understand the technology, which I was resistant for, a good year. After my music career, I took about 8 years of really just getting into more of a connecting with nature and the natural world. I didn't have a TV. Used a flip phone for a long period of time, gardening all the time, which I still do, but really wanting to kind of escape to the woods and, have a homestead and that kind of stuff, which, that's just one polarity. That's the incorrect polarity. That there is a balance, right? I can still homestead and connect with nature and stuff like that, but yet I can still use technology and to get that message out and to, do the one great work. So simply, the one great work is creating content, creating a message of truth and freedom to influence other people to look within themselves and to eliminate their false beliefs, the belief in human authority and government, and to inspire them to recognize and take action on the moral obligation to speak out. Because, as you know, the law of freedom, part of natural law is in cause and effect. As morality increases, freedom increases. As morality declines, slavery or freedom declines and freedom increases. So this is a numbers game. We need numbers. And this is a tricky place for people because we can't force anyone to do the internal work, right? So that's why I always say that we need to become an artist in our craft and in our message, where we can't force anyone to do this, right? So all we can do is do what we can and to better ourselves and better our content and our message, and that will ripple out into the ether and create, and it will reverb, and people can resonate with that, and hopefully that sparks inspiration, because inspiration can lead to change and action.
Yeah. I think it's also important to have, how do you call it? Righteous anger, I think you call it in English. It's also important to have this, but it's also very important to have this inspiration, like, I want to do the great work, like this energy, like this, wow, it's huge, and it's like a vision for the future, for a better future, where we can live in peace and harmony.
I agree with that. 100%. 100%. I believe it was Thomas Jefferson said that, first you have to get angry. And this is, and I butchered that quote, but righteous anger. All emotions have a purpose and a reason, and we need to use this as almost a tool. When you first part of the internal work, you have to understand, like myself coming out of drug addiction, I had to look into the mirror and realize that I was messed up, and I was doing this. It was self-inflicted. I was in a self-induced state of suffering. So you have to look at the dark aspects, and once you kind of get a grasp of what is going on in the world, truly, this should make you upset that we are being violated every day, that people are completely unconscious to the way the natural world works and how it manifests. So the majority of people are complicit. We are doing this to ourselves. And there are people taking advantage of this ignorance and using it to their benefit and to their profit. So we are being violated on all levels, and even young children as well, which most parents are doing this to their children due to their ignorance, right? Big topic that I talk about is conscious parenting, right? We are in opposition to the way things are to nature, and yet our children are, they're reaping this pain and suffering. We are passing this generational trauma down to our children. So it's really important. We need to use that energy of righteous anger and use it as a motivating factor. This is the element of fire. So we can harness this and use this to motivate ourselves. It's really important. Just like every emotion, even anxiety, this is a signal telling you something. Emotions, which is just energy in motion, it's a compass for ourselves and for our psyche, where we can actually come to understand ourselves and wield these emotions to our benefit. So it's really important. Contrary to the New Age movement, right? I mean, where, ignorance is bliss, and it's all about following your bliss and don't get angry. If you get, especially for, men like us, right? It's if you're a man and you get angry, oh, that's toxic masculinity. That's all bullshit. That's, it's,
yeah, I agree.
We are men, and we part of, we're air and fire. So we have, logic. We're good at problem solving, but we also have that fire. Fire is an active principle. So we affect change in the external world. We build stuff. We're a protector. So harnessing this emotion of anger, righteous anger, right? Because it's justified. We are being violated. This should piss a lot of people off. But yet it's important to control and understand our emotions and harness that, right? The difference would be, someone that's pissed off all the time over petty stuff. Someone cut me off on the freeway. I keep tripping outside, and you get mad at that constantly. I mean, that's petty anger. So there is absolutely a difference. So, good point.
There is. I saw your short. I like. Okay, here we are. I saw your short about where you spoke about men need to be a warrior. I like that message a lot on YouTube, and I think a lot of men lack this ability to be a warrior in this world and not on somewhere else or here. They're not just here on Earth. Be a warrior on this Earth, yeah. And
Yes.
I think a lot of men have, yeah, okay, we all have trauma, I think, and a lot of men have daddy issues, and then you have a Trump who's like, oh yeah, I'm a man, blah blah blah, and they go for that.
Mhm.
They go for yeah, that's not the real deal. The real deal is what you spoke about, or what you speak about, being a warrior, and not like, oh okay, there's a daddy and he's fixing my stuff, and
Mhm. Yeah, man, for sure, absolutely.
yeah,
And this is a hard truth for a lot of people, especially men, to understand that, especially in modern culture, right? The culture, the how society is, what they are cultivating is really the inversion of nature, right? It's flipped on its head. So men are demonized, and there's a physical component to this, right? There's a war on testosterone, and being too masculine and this kind of stuff. It's detrimental, and unfortunately a lot of men fall into this, due to how they were raised, and the way culture propagates this kind of stuff. But going back to the physical component, right? I mean, diet is huge. We can look at a lot of the food where it is heavy in estrogen, and the microplastics and all this stuff that attack the receptors, that attack our body, that lower testosterone. Testosterone used to gradually decline when you get into your 40s. Right now, it's plummeting in men in their 20s. Right, a lot of people,
yeah,
we call them soy boys. Right, when eating a lot of soy and this kind of stuff, which it can be healthy, but not to an extreme, because it's full of estrogen and it will lower testosterone. Women need testosterone too, but not at the level that men do. Testosterone gives us that fire. It feeds that fire element, and this is what gives us motivation and inspiration. And it's really, men have a responsibility to step up as protectors and providers. Step up and go public and talk about all the erroneous bullshit that's going on. And we don't see this that much nowadays. A lot of people submit, and they're complicit to these institutions and to government. The inversion of nature goes, it's actually predominant right now with women. We can see this with the transgender movement. Men can become women, women can become men, which is, this might piss a lot of people off, which is a mental illness. This is a detachment of reality. When you start mutilating your body, right, you are in a disassociation psychologically from the way the natural world operates. And this is due to a chemical imbalance in the brain. This is due to mind control and conditioning and programming. And this is in the forefront right now. And the problem with this is that they're teaching this to their children, to their
yeah,
children, and to children in general. And the purpose for that is to condition the youth, right? Because the youth is gonna make the future society, the future control system. So it's always distract the older generations and program and condition the younger generations. So stepping into that warrior mindset, that means becoming a warrior. You're at war with something. This is what the word means. You're at war with tyranny, violence, coercion, duress. You're at war with yourself, with all the issues, the false beliefs, the insecurities, all the shit that we need to get rid of. We need to analyze, take a look at, and analyze and get rid of this, so we can be our better selves, and we can have self-development and empowerment, and step out into the platform of the world and raise the voice of truth, right, for morality and freedom.
Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, it's really important. I would say that I've been seeing a lot of women stepping up and doing the one great work, which is
Yeah.
phenomenal.
And
I've
they're
been a huge
pissed on
advocate.
men. They're pissed on men. Then they're like, "Oh, you fuckers! You don't do anything. What kind of man do you are?"
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's
and
it's great to
yeah.
see these the female content creators come out, because the feminine dynamic is huge. They hold
Yeah.
influence over men. So it's really important. They have a role in this endeavor of creating freedom and fighting against tyranny, and a huge role as well. They have a huge influence on the household. I look at it as the man is the foundation, but the woman is the walls and the roof. Right? The saying goes that a man can build a house, but a woman will make it a home. So there's these complementary energies of masculine and feminine that we need to recognize, we need to understand and embrace. That it's not man versus woman, woman versus man. The most empowering force is a man and a woman coming together, is masculine and feminine coming together, because that unification, that alchemical wedding, is a force to be reckoned with, because it is in harmony with nature. And this is what the social engineers do not want to happen. They know if they can put a divide between men and women, then they gained 50%, right? It's 50% men and women. They've gained to their advantage. And all they have to do for a dialectic is just set off one side of it. And the other side will be pitted against the traverse. So there's so much going on, and there's so many effects and so much dialectics in the world. It can be brutal for someone, right? We see a lot of people following the alternative news and all these different situations and events that are going on, which it's cool to have an awareness of that, but there's no change there. Right?
Yeah.
We need to get down to the causal factors, and this always lies in the mental realm. This is the spiritual realm, where we understand the cause that leads to the effect. And this is really important. This is where the one great work steps into. It's understanding the causal factors of how we are in the position, the situation that we are in, and how do we get out. Right? So so checking out the effects can give you an inclination of the cause, but yet to create change, we need to get to that causal level, the root of the problem.
Exactly. It's pretty easy, actually, but humanity
you're
is
right.
just focused there on the effects. Yeah.
You're right. A lot of the things we talk about are simple. They are very simple. The problem is, ourselves, our programming and conditioning always steps in the way. Like what you said, ego identification. I am the system. People relate and they identify with their programs, with their programming and conditioning. And that is the huge problem. And this is where the one great work comes into, right? We're influencing people to take a look at themselves and identify those issues that they have within their own psyche. And it's a tricky process. This is why it is the great work, the one great work. It is hard. It is hard. And it's going to be a lifelong process for a lot of us, right? This is going to be many generations of doing this kind of stuff. It will speed up the more people do the moral thing and go public and talk about this information. As that increases, we will see the ripple effect. It will start to increase. But I've seen a lot of people start doing content and doing the one great work and then quit. Like after a year and a half, maybe 2 years, they quit because they said, oh well, I'm not creating any change, I'm not reaching anyone. We need to get out of that mindset. We need to do this because, number one, it's the right thing to do. We need to do it for truth. And number two, what else are you going to do? You're just going to sit, you're going to spiritual bypass and take a step aside and just let all the tyranny and the coercion get worse. I mean, I have a daughter, a 10-year-old daughter, so she's a huge motivating factor for me to do this work as well. But we need to really tap into our own flow state of finding our niche, whether that be writing a book, doing a podcast, doing public presentations, this kind of stuff. We need to kind of get to know ourselves and where our attributes are, and then focus on those and kind of dial those in. And I love doing this work. I love doing the content. I love interacting with people like yourself. When you meet someone that understands natural law, there's that initial connection, because this is how a relationship is formed. It's truly formed when each person understands truth and nature. Then you have a relationship that has a foundation in first principles. So, meeting people that understand the great work in natural law, it's great. I love that. I love connecting with like minds. I talk about a lot of dark topics, it's not something that I love doing, but I know it's the right thing to do. So we need to step into the message of truth and embody it.
Yeah. I like that you said you don't use your daughter for an excuse. It's she's your motivator also. I like that. Because a lot of people I have a job and I have children and stuff.
Excellent point. And I've heard this a lot, and I've experienced it myself, right? It's like when you have kids, unfortunately we need monetary sustenance in this modern world, right? We need resources, and it can be tricky finding the time. But when you apply your willpower and you really sit down and you dial in the modalities and the methods of getting this message out and your schedule, there will be sacrifice. Every human being sacrifices something. Sacrifice means to give away to. So, we are sacrificing time and attention right now. Other people, might be binge watching Netflix. They're sacrificing their time and attention to that as well. So everyone sacrifices something, and it took a lot of time to kind of dial in my schedule and figure out how am I going to balance this and look at my life and sacrifice certain things to do this type of work. And that's the key. A lot of people do not want to sacrifice their earthly pleasures and desires. And a lot of people are hopeless, right? They see that, oh my gosh, it's the biggest endeavor to try to change the minds of the majority of the people. But yet, like you said earlier, mighty forces will come to your aid. I've met a lot of people that have said, hey, I found your content. It was great. Let's do an interview. Let's do this. Let's do that. And that is awesome. That's a good sign. You and I just met. I'm going to check out your content and I'm going to share it out to the world. So this is how we support each other and we get that message out. So it's really important. We have to sacrifice. And I understand that I don't want to be, years from now when my daughter's grown and, hopefully not, but if the situation is worse and she comes to me and asks me, Dad, what did you do? What did you do about all the tyranny and the control that's going on in the world? I dread that question. I don't want her to ask me that question because I want her to know that I fought for freedom and for truth and justice. And she knows that. She's very proficient in a lot of the concepts that I talk about. And the key is not getting her to memorize certain type of information. The key is giving her the tools so she can understand on herself, within herself. Kids are, especially young kids in that formative stage where they're soaking up information, are really good at memorizing, especially when repetition's involved. But if they don't understand it, then It's all for nothing. This is what the public schooling does, right? It's all about repetition and memorization and atomizing children. You know, we need to get the youth to understand what natural rights are, what nature is, what truth is, and what freedom is. So it's a big project.
Yeah, and understanding is also always combined with actions. It's not, there's nothing like, yeah, I understand that, but you don't do shit about it, or I don't do shit about it, then I didn't understand it. That's the thing, yeah.
Exactly. And this is the heart of the law of manifestation. Manifestation is based upon our actions. Our thoughts and emotions precede that. So really, it's unity consciousness. As I think, so I feel, and so I act. This is what people have a hard time with, right? I mean, the New Age movement thinks, oh, it's all about what you think and what you feel. You know, oh, I'm thinking and feeling like I'm going to win the lottery and make a whole bunch of money and nothing happens, right? This is bullshit. This is not how it works. If you want to create a business, you can't think and feel that business into manifestation. You need to act. Even the word action, we can break it up into two segments. You have act, which act means to perform, and then you have ion, which ion's like a charged particle. It's energy, or our eye on, right? So we have action. So this is performed energy, and this is how when we perform our actions and our behaviors, we actually can move the morphogenic field and create change in reality. So yes, absolutely, we need to act. It's all about our actions when it comes to change and what we do. Very important. Too many people are kind of information junkies, right? They
big time.
And here, this is also something with the masculine too. A lot of people, they seek knowledge, seek truth, but yet they get stuck in that entrapment of just constantly taking in information and knowledge. They're missing the speak truth, the executing principle. You need to apply it. This is what wisdom is, right? Wisdom is knowledge applied. So it's got to be applicable in the world, and we need to act on it. And this is where we can create the biggest change through our actions.
Yeah.
We need
to raise our voice. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. My partner John and I, we have a slogan. We call it detachment activism. So what that means is you're detaching from the system of control and violence. You're detaching from government. You're not supporting it. You're not using these institutions. But by detaching from that, you're also using a alternative means, which is the action, right? Banking could be one, where, so detaching, taking all your money out of these corrupt banking systems and using cash, investing in gold and silver, using the barter system, using your cash to local mom and pop stores and family owned businesses. People don't understand that. I mean, when you don't use cash, then the value goes down, right? I mean, again, these are fiat notes. These are just paper. All they are is a construct of human beings. They have no basis in the natural world. But what it represents energy. It's a medium of exchange, of course, but it represents your time and attention. So, a lot of people, when we do this work, so I appreciate donations, and I don't say it that much, but yet, if somebody out there that's listening, if you like Jonathan's content, donate to them. Donate to him or any content creator. This is a huge part, because like we said, there's sacrifice, there's resources. What you're saying with that, when you donate, you're saying that you found value in the time and attention that Jonathan or another content creator has put into this work. So unfortunately, we need resources to make this move along. But regardless, I mean, I don't get many donations. I appreciate everything that I do. I still have a 9 to 5. This is part of sacrifice. We got to have jobs as well and do this on our downtime, staying up late doing editing and all this kind of stuff. This is part of the one great work. I wouldn't change it for anything because I know that that I'm doing the right thing. And this is what people need to understand about the one great work. We need to do it because it is the right thing. It's the correct thing to do. It's the moral thing to do. So very important.
Yeah. And it's also very important to use your heart. If I'm listening to you and I feel in my heart, it's like, yeah, he's the real deal. It's just my intuition tells me that. And a lot of people also need to get in touch with their intuition, not just the intellect. It's like what you said before, that it's like a lot of men, especially also women, but a lot of men like, oh yeah, okay, I need more information, and they never get into their heart. And there is the energy that we need to connect with to do the great work.
Yes,
that's the
man.
driving force in my experience. Yeah,
100%. The heart space, the first eye, right? With third eye, first eye, this heart space. This is where unity consciousness comes in. The heart is the generating factor, the generating principle. Because what do you care about? This is the feminine aspect that is extremely important when it comes to manifestation and creating change. I think a lot of people that I've talked to, they intuitively, they can feel it that something's not right within the world, within humanity.
Yes.
I would say everyone can, but their programming and conditioning kind of softens or deafens that voice of the heart space that's in constant communication with us. So it's about, aligning our thoughts and our emotions, our mind and our emotions, and our guts, which is the action. But yes, care. This is a huge question that I asked myself in my dark days, right? And people should ask themselves constantly. This is a continual question that you ask. What do you care about? Because obviously energy flows where attention goes, what you care about. And when we look at the world, people don't care about freedom. They don't care about prosperity. They think they do, but they don't. And when you deafen that sound, when you ignore the heart, that has detrimental effects on the human being. For instance, someone that is a liar or an immoral person, a bad person, right? They do not heal. They do not progress. They do not evolve. They can have the best diet in the world and supplements and exercise and all this. But if you are a bad person, an immoral person, a liar, you're in that satanic mindset of egotism and relativism, right? You will not heal. You will generate sickness and illness at some point in your life, not to mention the karmic repercussion of just your spirit. We're here to grow and evolve a soul. We don't come into this realm with a soul and we're good and everything's all set. No way. We are here to learn what it means to be human and to evolve into higher consciousness. And this is very much in alignment with the heart space. The heart itself has the biggest electromagnetic field, bigger than the brain itself. The guts as well has a large magnetic field as well. But the heart it pumps the blood. What is the blood? The blood is the life force. It carries the life force throughout our body. So it is the generator. And this is the generative principle, that what we are generating in our lives and into the world. So huge. You can look at the G for generative, right, is also in the tradition of Freemasonry. That's what the G stands for. A lot of people say it stands for God and geometry, but it's mainly the generative principle of care, true care. So yeah, man, good point.
Yeah, Genesis. I'm right
Genesis,
now
another
doing
one. Yeah.
a translation of your what was the name?
It's all about morality.
It's all
the
about
presentation?
morality. Thank you very much. I'm working on that because most of my stuff is in German, but I also started doing stuff in English to reach more people. But
That's a huge honor. You're the first person that wanted to translate one of my presentations.
I
That
love
is
to do this
huge.
stuff. I
I give
love that.
you huge respect for doing that, and I highly appreciate that, man. That is awesome. Someone that is speaks multiple languages, you're at a huge advantage, right? Because you can take other people's work. You could take Mark Passio's work or whoever and translate, but also within yourself. You have multiple languages. So now you're reaching a larger demographic. A good friend of mine, Dominic, he is from Canada, but it's on the French side. So he was doing content in English, but yet he finally went full board to the French audience, and now his content he's reaching a lot more people because there's not that many people in the French speaking language that do the one great work. So it's almost like an untapped demographic, an untapped market to get this message out. So that's huge, man. Yeah, I appreciate you doing that. I'm glad you liked that presentation.
I like your stuff a lot. So I think
Thanks,
I will
brother.
do more on that. Yeah, I like.
Awesome.
And it's very important because a lot of people don't speak English, so it's very important to also reach them. I think in the long run, everyone should learn English to some extent, but also that this process will be faster. We need to do it in our, do you call it mother tongue? I think so.
Mhm. Yep.
Natural tongue. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Absolutely, for sure. And this is what the one great work is about. It's about inspiration. If I sum it up in one word, inspiration, inspiring people to take action. And we need this on a global level. The social engineers, this is the illusion, right, that we're in separate countries and every country is doing their own thing. No,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. That's the illusion for the majority of people. This is a global network working hand in hand, in tandem, right? So we need people to step up and take action in all languages, in all walks of life, everywhere around the world, so we can drown out the voice or that sound of deception and increase the voice of truth.
Yeah. This inspiration, this knowledge is for everyone out there. It's not it's like a treasure to the world. It's like a big gift from the creator of the universe.
100%. This information is not new that we're talking. We don't own this
Yeah.
information, right? This information is embedded in nature, right? Like you said, a gift from the creator. 100%. Nature is the real Bible. It's the real Constitution. At any point in time, human beings can use their own capacity of logic and reason, right? We have the hardware to evaluate. Sorry, my dog, always got to be on my lap. We can evaluate and discover and come to understand natural law, how reality operates, who we are, our purpose. We can form an intimate relationship with creation and the creator. All we need to do is tap within ourselves and within nature herself, because we are not separate from nature. We are a part of nature. And the morphogenic field is what Rupert Sheldrake coined it, right? Which is the field of information, of consciousness that is all around us. It's available for anyone at all times. So really, the one great work, when we get this message of natural law out, we're not teaching anything new. There's nothing new under the sun. Truth is truth. It's singular, eternal, and objective. But what we are inspiring is for human beings to remember remember who we are, remember our connection to nature, and our role, the stewardship that we our responsibility, right? Responsibility, our ability to respond to being in this school of life, here on this reality.
Yeah, know thyself. Exactly.
Absolutely. Know thyself and you will come to know the gods. So, which is that's a metaphor, right? That's an allegory, not like gods, like people in the sky, beings in the sky. These are archetypes of the human psyche and of nature, forces of nature. So it's a profound quote. That's the quote from the Oracle Delphi. Yeah, man, it's good stuff.
Yeah. And you can find it everywhere.
That's
If you're
right.
Christian, if you're Muslim, if you're into other stuff, you will find it everywhere. When you know where to look for it, you will find it. Or if your consciousness is at some level, you will find it everywhere.
Absolutely. And this is something that I talk about a lot, is diving into the natural law principles, or the hermetic principles, and go through each principle and really kind of take that in and apply that to yourself and see how that operates within your own life and in the natural world. You know, mentalism, correspondence, polarity, vibration, rhythm, cause and effect, mental gender. It's really important that we have a firm understanding, and this is a growing understanding, right? Like the information of the One Great Work is really just trying to get humans up to par, up to the foundational first principles of existence, of reality, of truth. And then from there, we can evolve as a species and evolve our understanding of natural law and the natural law principles and truth itself. Right? It's not an end of the road type of deal. This is a spiral. This is the spiral path, spiritual spiral. So this is what we're really doing. We're trying to get up to just par. But when you have that foundation of the natural law principles, and you can see the correspondences happening within your life and in the external world, I mean, it is empowering. You're seeing the synchronicities, which is pretty much recognizing the patterns, which is exactly what consciousness is, pattern recognition. You can see the synchronicities in your life and bringing it back to like kind of the beginning of the conversation, knowing when you are on your path or when you're off your path. It's a language. It's like in constant communication with us if we have the ears and the ears to hear and the eyes to see. So it's empowering stuff, man.
It is. All right. I think we're good for today.
Awesome, man. That was great.
Yeah, I loved it. I really appreciate your work and your stuff. What do people need to check out when they are looking at your stuff? Or what's your, maybe share some social media and stuff?
Excellent. Yeah, like a one go-to link is Linktree/Will Keller. You can get to all of my links from there. Or you can go to the One Great Work Network and check out my profile. All my content is on there under Will Keller. And then, of course, my official website is Natural Freedom League. So Linktree/Will Keller will get you to all my social medias. I'm on, all of them pretty much. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all under Will Keller. And Jonathan, thank you so much for reaching out to me. Thank you for doing the One Great Work. This was a great conversation, and I would love to come back anytime, my brother.
Yeah, would be very nice. Thank you. I appreciate, and yeah, hopefully we will come together at some point later in time.
Excellent, for sure.
All right. Okay. Then, until then, bye-bye.